Hey, all right, so we are getting ready for another long run. Today we have about 20 miles that we're going to be aiming for. I don't really have really flat, like running paths that I can actually run on. Where I live, it's a lot of rollers, so it's really hard to focus on just your pace. So I can't just look at my watch and be like, okay, 650, 650, 650, 650. What I really have to focus on is just effort level. So this run, it's going to be really, really focused on getting into that zone 3 and then staying in there, and then just trying to make sure that I don't go low back into zone 2 or go high into like a zone 4 where I'm just literally sprinting and dying. So just trying to find and establish that nice marathon pace that I can be pushing my body pretty hard but not blowing up, and actually be able to run and maintain that pace with that effort level as long as possible. So that's what we're really building up. So the plan right now is to run over to a lake that is pretty flat. It's about 4.8 miles around, and then you get around 300 feet of elevation gain. So there are some rollers in there, but it's as flat as you're going to get in the area that I actually live. What I'm aiming for is the workout is going to look like this. I'm going to run over there nice and easy, probably staying below 150 for the heart rate. Nice zone 2, like middle to high end zone 2, maybe even a little bit lower. That's about 4 to 5 miles to the lake. And then I will start my actual workout. I'll start my actual workout for this run, and I will try to jump into zone 3 with a building pace going around the actual lake. Then I'll rest for about 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And if I'm feeling really, really bad, or my body needs a little bit more time to actually recover, I'll do a nice jogging mile, and then I'll try to go around again. So the plan is to be in zone 3 for about 10 miles, like 9 to 10 miles for this 20-mile run. After I get done with both of those intervals, I'll just do a nice easy jog back, which once again is about 5 miles. So today I'm going to be running pretty light. There are some water fountains and some bathrooms around that lake, so if I do need to refill my water, I can get some water there. I'll just be rocking the naked belt. Of course, this is my go-to light run. These naked belts are freaking awesome. I've worn this one through like many ultramarathons, many training runs, and it has never failed me. I'll have 1 bottle of Tailwind, just 100 calories in there, and then I'll have a packet of salt tabs. I'm a super freaking salty ass sweater, so I take around 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of salt every hour when I'm pushing really hard. I probably won't be taking any salt tabs until 2 hours in, because I did have quite a big breakfast. I took a little bit of Tailwind before, and then I'm crushing some Red Bull, and this is just for the caffeine and extra sugar. And then just in case, I'll have 2 Honey Stinger waffles. So these are 140 calories each. So if I start feeling like my energy's going down, I'll take some of these Honey Stinger waffles. That's everything that I'm going to be carrying for this 20-mile long run, and that's the plan. That's what I'm actually hoping that I'm going to be able to actually do. Get in a lot of good effort in that zone 3. But let's get out there and let's get this freaking run started, and let's go. It was really windy and cold out during this run. I was not expecting it. The sun was out when I looked out the window, so I thought it was going to be a lot warmer. I'm really glad that I actually wore my gloves during this run, because on my last long run, I didn't wear gloves, and my hands were like stuck in the little T-Rex position. I was trying to manipulate my phone and the camera and like the gels and stuff, and I was just kind of frozen like that. It really freaking sucks. So super glad that I wore the windbreaker and the gloves, because it was that wind just really cut into your bones, and it was freaking freezing. I was kind of picking up the pace every now and again, and then drifting back and picking up the pace back and forth, back and forth. One thing that really does help me on these warm-up runs is not listening to music and listening to podcasts or audiobooks. So my brain kind of goes into like a low hum, and I'm just trying to focus on listening to the podcast or listening to the audiobook, and it keeps me from trying to get too amped up, or keeps me from like running to the beat of the actual song, and end up running a little bit faster and getting all amped up. during the first mile of the first interval, my legs felt like they were still trying to warm back up or warm up into jumping from zone 2 to zone 3. So I felt like all the muscles trying to start firing, start loosening up even more from that 5-mile run. I think my legs kind of got a little sedentary just chilling in that zone 2. So once I started to call on them for zone 3, they were like, hey, what the heck are we doing? So it took a little bit of time to actually warm up the legs. And then once I actually started getting warmed up, the pace started going up. I mean, there is that slight elevation going around the lake, and then it is also going from bike path to more of a trail or compact gravel road. So the first mile was like an 8:16, then it went to an 8:09, then a 7:53, and then that last mile is where a lot of the elevation gain actually comes in. So then I went up to like an 8:20. That pace felt really good and the effort felt really good. I was increasing the pace as I went, like I was trying to, and then I tried to keep my heart rate around 170 to 175. That's like my real threshold working pace that I'm trying to achieve, and I'm trying to actually be able to just work in for extended period of time. So that first interval felt really good. I pushed it at the end a little bit just to try to combat some of the hills that I was dealing with at the end of the interval. That effort felt like it was really on pace. The heart rate was around 170. The heart rate slowly crept up from 169, chilled at 173, and then I finished at like 175 beats per minute on average for those mile loops. So that was the exact effort that I was looking for. I took a little bit of rest. I think I ended up resting about 2 minutes to 3 minutes of just walking around and slow jogging around and then trying to get a little bit of fuel in me. So I took in probably like 250 milliliters of that Tailwind mixture that I had in my bottle. And then I took in a Honey Stinger waffle that has about 140 calories. And then I just kind of shoved that in my throat and then jogged around until it settled into my stomach a little bit. When I started the second interval, my legs felt like trash. I felt like I was not going to be able to actually do what I wanted to do and get a second interval in. And I was just running based off of my heart rate and based off of the effort, trying to make sure that my form didn't slip because I had tired legs. They were feeling the leg workouts and the squats that I did like 2 days ago. But I was just focusing on that form and focusing on the effort level and just kept charging forward. I didn't actually know that I was hitting the paces that I wanted to hit or hitting the effort level that I wanted to hit until I actually looked at the data when I got back home. The first mile was like a 7:53. The second mile was a 7:57. And then we went into an 8:08. And then we went into that 8:39. Again, the second half of the actual loop is a little bit more elevation gain, so that's why the pace increased, but the effort level felt exactly how I wanted it, and the paces where I could actually increase the pace seemed to be lowering exactly what I wanted also. The heart rate went down to like 159 when I was actually recovering, and then it was working at 170, 175, 176, and then I started going a little bit higher than I wanted to and started hitting like 177, 180 for that last mile when I was trying to like push it a little bit harder to finish off that second interval. For recovery on that second interval, I didn't really like lull around there too much. I just caught my breath, drank a little bit of water, and then slowly started working my way back home. it is the next day. After I got done with that run, I was completely trashed. It felt like my calves were gonna freaking explode. And I definitely should have been drinking a lot more water and taking in some electrolytes during that run because I was pushing it quite a bit, quite a bit during those lake loops. So it is the next day. I had to help out with the kids and we ran into some other plans. So I wasn't able to get my lift in. So I just saved it for the next day. I probably could have done it at night, but how my body was feeling and my energy levels, that just probably would have been a recipe for injury. So always listen to your body, always listen to your timing. And if you have to save it for the next day, just save it for the next day. Once again, consistency is always king. So if you're injured, it's really hard to be consistent. So always listen to your body. And if you have to shift things around, shift things around. Don't just forget about them. Don't just be like, oh, well, I'll just keep out on that workout. Try to shift it around first. That's how you stay consistent. It's not like, oh, I'm getting one over on myself. It's more like, oh, I'll just do it later. So right now, we are just warming back up, getting the blood flowing in the legs because they are very sore. They're very tired. Not really like muscularly sore. Yeah, not a lot of muscular soreness, but they're very tired. So I'm just making sure that all my joints, all my ligaments, all my muscles are nice and firing. Everything's warmed up and loosened up. So I'm just going for about a 4-mile warm-up run. Very, very, very slow. I'm at like a 10-minute mile pace, almost recovery pace. Just warming everything back up, getting everything moving, and then we'll start our leg workout. Once again, the legs are already really pre-exhausted, so we're gonna hit it pretty light today. Just gonna be working on some deadlifts, throw in a couple other leg workouts, and then maybe do a core circuit, and then we'll just call it good for the day. Today is just kind of a little cherry on the top, like I said last week. So we're just putting the cherry on the top, working on some strength, and then we'll just be done for the week, and we'll start another week of training tomorrow. All right, let's go. Warm-up run is complete. Just did 4 miles. Tried to keep it really light, but this is something to be very cognizant of when you're actually ramping up your training levels. You start gaining fitness and you start feeling really good. You start getting a little bit addicted to the endorphin rush of pushing your body. So once my body started warming up around 1 mile, I was like, oh, I'll bump up the speed. Oh, I'll bump up the speed. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting faster. I'll bump up the speed. And then I almost ended running around the same speed that I would run a regular run instead of doing a warm-up recovery run. So definitely be very, very cognizant of getting ahead of yourself, because I've done this multiple times in the past where, I was running 40 miles a week, and then I go up to 50 miles a week. And then I'm just like, man, my body's feeling great. I'm going up to 60 miles a week. I'm like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can go right back into my training where I was peaking out. And then I go up to 90 miles a week or 100 miles a week, and then I get sick because I pushed it too much. So that is definitely one thing that you have to be very cognizant of with weightlifting, with running. Just, you'll start feeling good. You'll start feeling like you can do more and more and more. But that slow, consistent buildup has always been the best way up to avoid injury, to avoid illness, to avoid, burnout, just like mental burnout, everything. Right now, what we're really working on for the deadlifts is the form. So my my form has been kind of trash, and I'm trying to really fix my deadlift form so I don't run into any issues. The main thing that I was actually doing is kind of levering over the bar. My body was a little bit over the bar, and then the bar was drifting away from my legs, where it should be really just grinding up your legs as you're pulling the bar up. So I'm really focusing on that body position and keeping the bar as close to as possible to my legs so then I can actually engage the correct muscle groups and not pull my back or do anything crazy. So keeping it pretty light, might work my way up. And yeah, that's going to be basically the workout, the extended workout from Sunday. All right, so let's get going on this weightlifting. So that was the weekend workouts. We ended up getting 20 miles at an average of 8:52 pace, a runtime of 2 hours, 57 seconds, and 32 seconds with an elevation gain of 1,230 feet of elevation gain. We really pushed it on those two intervals, and that was the exact work that I wanted for that long run on Saturday. And then moving right into Sunday, woke up, the legs were pretty sore. So did a warm-up run of 4 miles at a pretty easy pace. And then we crushed some legs. So overall, this weekend was a really good weekend of working out. I hit the workouts that I wanted. I hit the efforts that I wanted. And, you know, hey, things happen. I wanted to have Sunday as a full recovery day, but I just adapted and overcame. You know, you shift things around, you make things work out. If you have kids, you have family, you have goals, hobbies, other responsibilities, that is something that you should become an expert in, is just being able to adapt and shift things around to make sure that you stay consistent and you get all your workouts in. Making sure that I have all my runs scheduled and making sure that I have everything scheduled that I want to make sure that I get done makes it really easy to shift things around and make sure that I stay consistent. So I'll leave you at this. Once again, always make sure that you're chipping away, becoming an average savage, stay consistent, because consistency is king. If you're afraid of something, that's probably something that you should attack full force. Beat it with your fucking head, smash it with some headbutts, and go out there, chip away, become an average savage. Let's go and let's fucking get it.